perfect distance between yourself and that microphone.
Okay.
So, and we'll find it.
I did my best. Can you spell your last name, please?
L-U-N-D.
Where do you live, Miss Lund?
Moorhead, Minnesota.
What is your relationship to Nicole Mitchell?
Nicole is my niece.
How long have you known Carol Mitchell?
Over 40 years.
Over that time frame, how often did you see Rod and Carol Mitchell?
Probably over the last 20 to 25 years, probably at least 10 times a year. They would come in for a lot of holidays and a lot of family events.
To your knowledge, did Rod and Carol Mitchell spend holidays with Carol's family?
They may have very early in their marriage, but I'd say for the last 20 to 25 years, they never missed a holiday at my house or my parents' house.
At some point, did you learn about Carol Mitchell having medical issues?
Yes. Give me a second to recall a date. So it would have been in about Thanksgiving of 2022. Over that time period when they were in, Carol had mentioned that she had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and had talked about going in for another medical appointment in 6 months for that.
Did that surprise you?
It did. We hadn't talked about any other medical issues before that.
I'm sorry, did you say it did or it didn't?
It did surprise me, yes.
Why did it surprise you?
I just hadn't heard her talk about that before.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you are Nicole Mitchell's aunt.
Yes.
Would that make you Rod Mitchell's sister?
Yes, Rod was my sister, was my brother.
It's okay. Did you have any conversations with Rod Mitchell about Carol Mitchell's Alzheimer's diagnosis? Before you heard about the diagnosis Thanksgiving of 2022?
No.
After Rod Mitchell died, did you try to help Carol Mitchell with anything?
Yes. Immediately after Rod Mitchell's death, my sister and I went down and helped Carol immediately with all the funeral planning, all that type of stuff. So we're with her quite a bit that first week. And then during that period, we're always asking, anything you need, Carol, we're here for you, we'll help you. And the one need that she had brought up was that she had never paid bills or done any of the financial end of things in the 40 years she'd been married to Rod. And so I said, well, that's right up my alley. I have a 40-year career in finance and accounting and things like that. So I stepped in at her request and started helping with those type of things.
Did helping Carol Mitchell have anything to do with your brother Rod Mitchell? Feelings of loyalty or responsibility?
Would you repeat that, please?
Yes. When you stepped in and helped Carol Mitchell, as you just testified to, did that have to do with anything related to your relationship with your brother, Rod Mitchell?
Absolutely. I mean, that would be what Rod would want us to do. Absolutely. And I love Carol too, so it's just a natural to step up and help the people that, family members and people you love. It's just a natural thing you do.
Did you ever meet with Carol Mitchell's attorney as a part of this post-Rod Mitchell death and the resolution of his estate?
Yes.
What did you discuss when you met with that lawyer?
During the month of April of 2023, I helped Carol compile all of her financial papers. So we had kind of a balance sheet that we went through and compiled everything. We rounded up everything. And the purpose of going to her attorney, she picked the attorney, it's somebody local in town here, And the purpose was twofold. The first was to figure out if Rod's estate needed to go through probate, and because as far as we knew, there wasn't a will. And the second was to set things up for her own will, because she didn't have one either. So there's twofold purpose in going and meeting with him. And I did go to the initial meeting with her attorney, and he started the ball rolling on all those issues.
Now, when you and Carol Mitchell went to that meeting, did you bring any documents with you?
Yes, I compiled all of her financials into one document, kind of a balance sheet type thing. We listed all of her assets, all that type of stuff. We listed all of Rod's possible heirs and things like that. We clarified relationships between Carol and Nicole, and between, do I need to use the last name?
The best you can.
Between Nicole Mitchell and Jonathan Keel. So we also included that too, to clarify that what the relationship was there.
Did you bring any document related to the home that Carol and Rod Mitchell shared?
Carol had a pile of documents, probably, if I recall, it might have been an inch or inch and a half thick, that we'd compiled, and she took one of those being the deed to the house. So that did go with us. She had, we'd put everything into like a tote bag and taken it with to the attorneys.
And what was the reason for taking the deed of the house to the attorneys?
That was taken along because one of the first steps, because Carol and Rod were both listed as owners of the house, the attorney could easily then take that deed and have it updated with just Carol's name on it. So that deed was left with the attorney that day.
Now, I'd like to turn your attention back to Carol Mitchell's Alzheimer's diagnosis. After you learned of it, did you ever witness any evidence of forgetfulness or confusion by Carol Mitchell?
During the period of time, the month after Rod Mitchell's death, many times I could tell she was having problems remembering things. She had difficulty, the biggest one that was of concern to me was we had gone to the attorney. She had started all the paperwork, so she was, working on Rod's estate. She was working on her will and things like that. She was to go back and pick up that paperwork on the first drafts of those documents 2 or 3 days later. And as I talked with her later, she didn't remember that she'd even gone to see the attorney. And another 3 or 4 weeks later again, too, we had another text conversation, I think, where she just didn't remember that she'd already got this stuff started.
You just referenced a text conversation. Did you take screenshots of those text messages?
Yes, I did.
And did you provide the screenshots of those text messages to Nicole's attorneys?
Yes, I did.
Ms. Lund, I'm going to show you a series of documents marked as Exhibits 279, 280, 281, and 282. They should appear on the screen right in front of you. There's going to be 4 different documents, and so we'll have to go one at a time. So I'm going to be showing you first 279. Now I'm going to show you 280, then 281.
Can we slow down, counsel?
Yep, I'm sorry.
You go back one.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then 282. Ms. Lund, are these a complete and accurate representation of your conversation with Carol that you just referenced?
Yes.
Carol Mitchell, I apologize.
Yes.
Have the screenshots you just saw ever been altered?
No.
Who are the communicators on that text message thread?
The green is me, and the gray is Carol.
Carol Mitchell?
Carol Mitchell, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's very difficult for me too. How do you know the person on the other end of the messages is Carol Mitchell?
I've got her phone number in my phone directory, and I've talked to her many times.
Did these messages cause you alarm?
Yes.
Did you respond to Carol Mitchell shortly after receiving or reading them?
Yes, most of the time I responded after I saw it. I would normally try to respond to her within a short period of time.
Were you still alarmed or concerned when you responded?
Yes, yes.
What effect did these messages have on you?
Concern for Carol, and that she was just having a lot of trouble trying to keep things together, and concerned that she would be a vulnerable adult that could be taken advantage of.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer Exhibits 279 through 282 into evidence and request permission to publish them.
Mr. McDonald. No objection, Your Honor. All right. Exhibits 279, 280, 281, and 282 are received. You may publish.
So, as we discussed when it was just on your screen, there's going to be 4 messages, and the reason for that is when you screenshot, it goes vertical, and so you kind of cut things off, and it's a little bit wonky. I wish we could do a full one long scroll, but we can't. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to read those. Before you do, please reorient who the color of each person talking is, and when you're done, you'll see at the bottom, that part is cut off. And so when you see the next text message, you can just jump on from there. There's going to be some overlap because that's how screenshots work. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So before you read, and you might have to turn back to the microphone, you can read them it's still on your screen, I believe.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that part. We kind of have them all over. But please tell us who the colors are, and then you can begin reading.
The green is me, and the gray is Carol. So Carol answered, "Thank you, pretty flowers." And then that was one day. Another day, she's again asking me, "Who took the deed to my house? It was in a metal box, and now there's hardly anything in there. My lawyer will be here day after tomorrow." And me responding back, "Most of the house papers are behind the blue or green pillow in second bedroom. The deed may be there with the papers we clipped together to take to the lawyer. I have a couple more forms filled out, the letter for American Express, and some background info. Would tomorrow work, I think? Would tomorrow, Monday?" Work. Oh, okay, that's the same one. Oh, and Carol responding, I forgot the green pillow spot, and there it is. Just trying to make light of the situation, and I would respond, "Just call me your backup memory," and she did that a few different times. And then, tomorrow would be okay, backup memory lady. And then I responded, "I have a meeting at church at noon, so I would be out about 2:30.
And this is the last one.
Me in green again. We can move it to next week if you prefer. Your will was on the table yesterday. Carol responding, "Do you mean the healthcare directive? I haven't made a will yet. I am going to do that with Charlie."
Now, this is the last text of the exhibits we just offered, but to your knowledge, who is named Charlie?
Charlie is the local attorney that she was using.
Do you remember his last name by chance?
I believe it's Charles Ramstead.
Thank you. Please unpublish, Your Honor. Thank you. What about passwords, Ms. Lund? Did Carol Mitchell ever have forgetfulness related to a book containing passwords of hers?
Yes, she had a little green, no, I don't know if it was blue or green, I forget, but about a 2x3 spiral bound at the top notebook where she had many, many, many pages of passwords and And as she changed passwords, she'd cross one out and then she'd rewrite it. I think she had 2 different notebooks, and that's how she remembered all her passwords for going online and accessing her financial papers online.
Did you have text messages between yourself and Carol Mitchell about this password book?
Yes, we would. When she misplaced it, once in a while she would ask me if I knew where it was. Once in a while I would be able to tell her the last place I'd seen it. And sometimes I didn't know where it was. And she would then find it later and she would let me know that she found it.
Did you take screenshots of those text messages?
Yes.
And again, did you provide the screenshots of those text messages to Nicole's attorneys?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of documents marked Exhibits 277 and 278. They're going to go back up on the screen just like we did last time. We'll go through it the same way. Can you see those? And I will also wait so that Mr. McDonald can see them too.
Oh, yeah.
Are these a complete and accurate representation of your conversation with Carol that you just referenced?
Yes.
Have the screenshots ever been altered?
No.
Who, again, are the communicators on this text message thread?
Carol Mitchell is the gray. I am the green.
Now, I know this may sound redundant, but how do you know the person on the other end of the message is Carol Mitchell?
Carol's in my phone directory, and I've called her many times at that number.
And what effect do these messages have on you?
It again concerned me, with the things that she was having difficulty with.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer Exhibits 277 and 278 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Mr. McDonald.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibits 277 and 278 are received. You may publish.
So let's do the same thing that we did with the previous series of exhibits. Please note who the colors are. I know it, just to make sure the record is clear. And then please read, and when we continue down, we'll go to the next one. There's only 2 exhibits this time.
Okay. Carol is texting me, took care of the license tabs for my car. Rod's truck has new tabs. Stop in at Wells Fargo to meet the new guy that worked with Rod before. I will contact you about any questions about stuff that is baffling me. Do you have, supposed to be my 2 little blue notebooks with all my passwords? My response was no, but last week you found them in your top desk drawer. Carol's text, no luck finding them. Guess I will have to call them. Did we make that change from Rod's card to my card to pay the bill?
You can unpublish, Your Honor, please. Ms. Lund, now I'd like to direct your attention towards an incident involving Carol Mitchell during a trip to Walmart. Do you recall that incident?
Yes.
Can you explain that incident to the jury, please?
I believe it was sometime in April of 2023, and Carol sent me texts on it, and she was going to Walmart, so she made the trip there, and she went into the store, and then she forgot her list in the car, so she went back out to the parking lot to get her list, and she unlocked her car and got in, and then she realized it wasn't her car. And so she got out and looked around, and she found her car 2 or 3 different spaces down, but the thing she was really confused about was how her key worked in the other car to let her in.
Now, I know when you just testified, you mentioned that those were text messages. And again, did you take screenshots of those text messages?
Yes.
And did you provide those screenshots of those text messages to Nicole's attorneys?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of documents marked as Exhibits 273, 274, 275, and 276. They'll come up on that screen. Mr. McDonald will be able to see it too, and we will slowly go one by one. I'll wait for you to pull your eyes up and to hear from Mr. McDonald.
Go ahead. Yep. I'm good. Okay. Okay.
Are these a complete and accurate representation of your conversation with Carol Mitchell that you just referenced?
Yes.
Having gone through the other foundational a few other times, I'm going to skip through and ask this to be offered as Exhibits 273 through 276 and request permission to publish, Your Honor.
No objection. All right. 273, 274, 275, and 276 are received.
Then when I got to Walmart and was just about in the store, I realized I forgot my shopping list, went back to my little green car, hit the door unlock, and hopped in. And it wasn't my car. OMG. I jumped back out and saw my car about 3 more down. Exact same color, but mine is a Ford Escape and the other was a Subaru. How could my key open the other one? Freaky. My response, OMG, maybe you should let Butch give you a ride tomorrow.
We can unpublish, Your Honor. Ms. Lund, who is Butch?
Butch is my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister, Cindy.
Why did you offer that to Carol Mitchell?
She was coming in for, I think this was Easter of 2023, and she was coming in to spend Easter with us, and we didn't want her driving out of town by herself. So he made the trip out, picked her up, and brought her, and then I think maybe Nicole took her back home at the end of the Easter celebration that we had.
We may ask some questions about that in a moment, but reorienting you just very briefly to the text message related to the Walmart incident, how did you feel after reading those text messages about Carol Mitchell and her trip to Walmart?
Still concerned about her, how big of an effect the Alzheimer's was having on her, having just lost her husband, my brother Rod Mitchell, and thinking some of her difficulties were going to be more apparent going forward as long as Rod was no longer there to compensate for some of the struggles she was having.
I appreciate you providing me with a transition in my questioning. I want to now talk about your statement earlier that Rod and Carol Mitchell had come to either your home or your parents' home in Moorhead for holidays with the Mitchell family over the past 30 years. Has Carol ever driven to your house to come to one of those holidays? Carol Mitchell, I apologize.
Carol Mitchell, if Rod Mitchell and Carol Mitchell were both coming in, normally Carol drove because Rod worked in town, lived in Detroit Lakes, worked in town, and he drove that route 5 days a week. And so if they went somewhere on weekends, normally Carol would do the driving because he'd had his fill of driving during the week.
I don't want to make you estimate, but would it be fair to say that Carol Mitchell drove to your house or your mother's house in Moorhead more than 10 times?
Probably more than 10 times in a year, yes.
Okay. So many times.
Many times over the duration, yes.
After Rod Mitchell's death, did there come a time where Carol Mitchell began to have trouble getting to your house in her car?
Yes, there were two incidences where she called me, where she was coming to my house, and she called me. She'd made it as far as Fargo-Moorhead, but then got lost in town. And so she called, and I was able then to direct her via the phone to have her come to my house in South Moorhead.
Did you take a screenshot of the record of that phone call from Carol Mitchell to you?
Yes, I did.
I don't know if that picked up on your...
Yes, oh, yes, I did.
Thank you. I just want to make sure. And did you provide the screenshot of that phone call to Nicole Mitchell's attorneys?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you a document marked as Exhibit 323. It's up on your screen and Mr. McDonald's screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
Is this a complete and accurate record of your screenshot regarding the November 2023 phone call?
Yes, that would have been the day after Thanksgiving in November of 2023 when she came in.
Has it been modified at all?
No, it has not.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer Exhibit 323 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Mr. McDonald.
No objection.
All right. Exhibit 323 is received. You may publish. Just for clarification for the court reporter myself, 323.
Yes, Your Honor, 323. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Now, this is a different... Would you orient us to who the colors are on this screenshot and explain, after reading that bottom message, who that was to?
So that text was to private investigator hired by Nicole Mitchell, and we'd had a phone conversation, and I followed up with a couple texts, or most of the texts, to him. So this was after the original conversations with him. Yeah, in this case, I think he's in blue and I'm in gray.
And above the message that you send to him, that is the screenshot from the day that Carol Mitchell called you when she was lost on her way to your home for Thanksgiving.
Yes, the day after Thanksgiving.
And you mentioned, I'm sorry, Your Honor, you can unpublish that exhibit, please. Before we just showed you that exhibit, I believe your testimony was that this happened 2 different times. One, we can see from that testimony, is November of 2023. Can you place the other one of when it might have happened?
I believe it was in October of 2023.
Why do you believe that?
I was able to find a phone record for it.
Did Carol Mitchell and Rod Mitchell ever get lost on their way to your home before Rod Mitchell passed away?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, you testified to this earlier, but I'd like to ask you to repeat it because I think it makes more sense in context now. Did there ever come a point where you or your family made different arrangements for Carol Mitchell to get to your house to attend a holiday at the Mitchells in Moorhead?
We talked about the one in Easter in 2023 in April, where we went out, or Butch, my brother-in-law, went out and picked her up, and Nicole brought her home. There may have been other family gatherings that we did something similar, where somebody picked her up and somebody else took her home.
This may sound obvious, I don't mean it to be, but why did you decide to do that, or why did your family have that conversation amongst yourselves and come to that conclusion?
Because we thought she was struggling with driving and was a risk to herself and driving outside of DL. Safer to drive inside DL, but when she's out on the road, we had more concerns.
Now I'd like to discuss any additional symptoms of Alzheimer's that you began to notice in Carol Mitchell after Rod Mitchell's death. Was Carol Mitchell exhibiting any additional symptoms besides forgetfulness and getting lost that we've already discussed?
Yes.
What was that?
Paranoia. So, paranoia.
Thank you. Can you give the jury some examples in your experience with Carol Mitchell at that time where she was exhibiting paranoia?
So as I said earlier, I helped her pretty extensively during the month of April 2023, put together all her financial papers and went to the attorney with her and all those sort of things. But then she started accusing me and my sister and Nicole Mitchell of stealing papers out of her house. So that theme came up and recurred several times throughout from the time from April of 2023 through the end of 2023, where out of the blue I'd get a text that says, something, it'd be a text that's like, well, where are my papers? You took them, bring them back. And each time I would carefully take a few minutes and realize that it was part of her paranoia and part of her Alzheimer's, and then very carefully respond to her. And my response was normally, Carol, I know, you've got some paranoia going on with that, and that's why I've been very careful to not take anything out of your house. I'd had an experience with another family member where they always thought somebody, not me, but somebody else was taking stuff. It was always the same story over and over and over again. So I just thought she was exhibiting that same thing was stuck in her mind, that I took papers. And so I just very carefully try to walk through that with her and tell her we didn't have them. But it kept coming up throughout the months.
And were those conversations memorialized in text messages?
Yes.
Did you take a screenshot of those text messages? Did you provide a screenshot of those messages to Nicole's attorneys?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of documents marked as exhibits 304, 305, 306, and 307. They'll come on the screen as they have all of these times before, and we will look at them one at a time. Please tell me when you are ready to go to the next proposed exhibit. You're asking me or the ladies? Both. I just want to be respectful of both of you guys.
I'm good here.
Okay.
All right, exhibits 304, 305, 306, and 307 are received, and you may publish.
Ms. Lund, please orient the jury to the colors, and then we will read them aloud, please.
Carol Mitchell is in the gray. I am in the green. This one is in May of 2023. Carol, saying you have not returned any of the files you took from the tin box, noticeably the financial forms, most especially the ones where Rod wrote out his wishes across the top should he pass on. My lawyer wants them ASAP. My response, good morning, Carol. As I said before, I was very diligent about making sure I never took anything out of your house. Everything I helped with was left at your house with notes attached. Are you referring to the bound book that Rod had written in? You showed it to me early on, but again, I never took anything out of your house. I'm sorry you're having difficulty finding it. You put all your house-related papers from the metal box behind the pillows in the second bedroom. Maybe you put it in there too. I'm so sorry. It says, I'm so sorry I failed you in this process. I can't imagine the pain you're going through. I'm sorry.
Take your time, Ms. Lund.
Nicole says she never had any of those forms. So I guess it was you and Cindy that removed them. Whatever, I need them back. Oops, I sent that last one just before yours came in. I will keep searching.
You can unpublish these, Your Honor. Ms. Lund, I can't help but notice that you were emotional at the end of that. Can you explain why?
I knew it was her disease that was talking there and not herself. We'd always had a good relationship, so I knew that, and I felt sorry for her and that I couldn't help anymore.
Had you ever taken papers out of Carol Mitchell's home?
Never. Let me correct. May I correct?
Yes, please.
Preparing for Rod Mitchell's funeral, Cindy and I think Jonathan Keel and I loaded up all the things we were taking to the funeral home. So we took boxes of pictures and memorabilia and all those type of things, loaded them in our cars, picture boards and everything, took them to the funeral home, brought them back home again, unloaded them all. And that was the only papers I would have hauled around.
Did Carol Mitchell have any fears or concerns related to her bank accounts?
Yes. We had talked about, earlier I talked about her little book of passwords and things like that, so she had those going on. And, you know, probably one of my goals was, you know, knowing she had Alzheimer's, knowing that sometimes people with Alzheimer's end up having trouble getting their bills paid on time and things like that. So one of my goals for her would have been to get everything set up on automatic payment so she didn't do anything like get behind on a utility bill and get her electricity shut off or something like that. I've had experience with those type of things. So my goal was to more automate and auto pay for as much as I could so she didn't have problems. But Carol's Paranoia, I think, had stepped in, and she didn't want anything on auto pay. She wanted the bills coming to her at her house. She wanted to pay them, and she didn't want the internet in her house anymore.
After Rod Mitchell died, do you recall ever seeing Carol Mitchell use laptop computers in her home?
When I was out there helping her, I would use the laptop a little bit. But that's the only experience, I guess. I haven't seen her close to a laptop.
In the months leading up to the incident in this case, did Carol Mitchell's behavior towards you and the Mitchell family change?
Yes.
How so?
For the last, 25 years, I mean, Carol and Rod had come and spent every holiday with us. We were close, saw them a lot, and Carol had talked about the discord between her and her sister. I think she hadn't had a relationship with her sister for the last 20 or 25 years. She used to go there for holidays and things, but there had been some fracturing in that relationship. And then all of a sudden after Rod died, Carol did a 180. So she turned and all of a sudden started nurturing or things with her family, and we became the family that she was having difficulty with. So it was just like a 180. The last 25 years where she didn't participate with her family was now completely different.
Now, you just mentioned Carol Mitchell's sister. Who are you referring to when you say that?
I know her first name only. I don't remember her last name.
And what is her first name?
Dee.
Okay. Do you know if Dee has any children who are related to this case?
There are two daughters. I remember meeting them at Rod Mitchell's funeral. Pam is the first name of one. I don't recall the other one.
That's okay. So directing you back towards Carol Mitchell's increased paranoia. We looked at text messages earlier that were from March of 2023. Did you receive any other texts from Carol Mitchell after that time that were of a similar vein?
Of the paranoia?
Yes.
Occasionally through the following months, I'd get another text asking, where are my documents? Bring them back, and things like that. My attorney wants them. You know, he wants them right now. And at one time I called her attorney and I said, hey, I'm concerned. I mean, she's not remembering things. She's telling me you're asking for documents. And I'm going, what documents are you looking for from me? Because I don't have any. And the response was just something like, well, if you have any.
Your Honor, I'm object to narrative.
Oh, sorry.
Sustained.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Let me try to drill down a little bit so we avoid a long answer. Did Carol Mitchell make a significant accusation against you in December of 2023?
Yes.
And was it by text message?
Yes, it was.
Did you take screenshots of that text message?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide the screenshots to Nicole Mitchell's attorneys? Oh, I'm sorry, it moved on you.
Yes, I did.
I'm now going to show you two documents marked Exhibits 310 and 311, 310 and 311. Can you see them on your screen?
Yes.
Sorry. Are these a complete and accurate representation of your conversation with Carol that you just referenced?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer Exhibits 310 and 311 into evidence and request permission to publish.
No objection.
All right. Exhibit 310 and 311 are received, and you may publish.
This will be the last time I ask you to do this. I know that these text messages are difficult, so take your time, but please orient the jury to the colors and read the text as you can.
Okay. Carol is in gray. Mine is in green. So this was early in December 2023. Good morning, Nancy. Oh, this is also, I mean, I hadn't dealt with...
Your Honor, I'm going to object. There's no question here.
Sustained.
Okay, read it.
Please read this first and I can ask some questions afterwards.
Good morning, Nancy, or maybe it's not. Just came from my lawyer's office again. I would have thought that you loved your brother enough to honor his wishes. And those forms that you stole from my house, where Rod had specifically stated his wishes, should be honored. Being you had no financial stake in them, I can only assume you gave them to Nicole. And being Nicole has flatly stated that she believes my son has no right to any monies, I take that as proof. Apparently neither you or Nicole loved Rod enough to...
Would it say honor his wishes?
honor his wishes. Yeah.
You can unpublish, Your Honor. Now, before you started reading that, we drew an objection because there wasn't a question asked. But I think the question is, had you talked to Carol Mitchell at all before she sent you that text message?
I had not dealt with Carol with anything financial since late April or early May of 2023. And this text message came out of the blue.
How did the text message make you feel?
Terrible.
Without getting too into a narrative, can you explain that a bit more?
I still knew it was the disease talking, but it hurt so bad that she would say that about me not loving my brother. That I never texted her again.
Why did you stop texting her?
Because it hurt me so bad that she would think that I didn't love my brother.
After Carol Mitchell sent you this text in December of 2023, did she reach out by text again?
No.
To your knowledge, was Carol Mitchell pulling away from any other of the Mitchell family?
She was pulling away from all the Mitchell family.
Overall, based on all of the time you spent with Carol and Rod Mitchell, how much of a difference was it in terms of where Carol Mitchell was before Rod's death and where she was now in December of 2023 after sending you that message?
She was completely different than we had known her to be. You know, she normally would come in, we'd have nice family time, we'd have gatherings. She would, come in whenever Nicole was in town. She normally would come up. She'd love and kiss on the grandchildren, and none of that was happening anymore. She was cold. She was cold.
To your knowledge, did any of the non-Mitchells, meaning Carol Mitchell's other side of the family, keep track of Carol Mitchell's Alzheimer's or how it was progressing?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
Would you like me to repeat the question? To your knowledge and in your experience with Carol Mitchell, do you know if any of the non-Mitchells, meaning Carol Mitchell's other side of the family, were keeping track of her Alzheimer's and how it was progressing?
I don't know.
Has Carol Mitchell ever communicated with you about that side of the family or not being close to that side of the family?
Yes.
Can you talk about that some?
She would mainly talk about her sister Dee, I don't know her last name, and the big rift that had come between them, and it was twofold, the things that she talked about. And even in the month of April of 2023, when I was helping Carol and we'd take a break from what we're doing and we'd go to lunch or things like that, she would talk about Dee on occasion. And the 20-year rift, she said, were the result of two different things. First of all, Dee, took all of their parents' estate, so Carol apparently didn't, according to Carol didn't get anything of her parents' estate. Dee took it all. That was the first thing. And Carol said when she went looking for the baby she gave up at birth, that Dee was very opposed to that, and that also caused a rift between her and Dee. So a combination of those two things was why Carol no longer had a relationship with her sister.
So let's talk about the son that Carol Mitchell was reunited with. What do you know about Jonathan Keel? When did you meet him?
I met him after Rod died.
After Rod Mitchell died, did you ever attempt to acquire any of his things?
During the process, when Carol was cleaning things out and trying to get through things and things like that, one of her homework from her attorney was to make a list of things within the house, who gets what in her house. And so I thought I was going to be helping her with that, but I wasn't. And so a couple different times she would text. I think she offered up a couple things of Rod's to our family members. I think a fringe jacket and a Minnesota Vikings jacket were the two things she offered up. And then an oak buffet that she'd had at her house that belonged to my parents and my grandparents before that, I believe. So she had offered those up, and continually, several times throughout the months, I'd asked her if there would be a point in time when we, meaning my remaining family, could come down and go through Rod's things if there was, to see if there's anything we wanted. Her answer was always, oh, yeah, yep, I'll get things rounded up when I get things sorted out. And it was always, this is things that you don't want anymore, Carol. It's, if you don't want them and you're going to give them away or something like that, we would like to have that opportunity. Yep, when I get things organized, I'll let you know. Well, that time never came. She had, I'd say 3 or 4 reminders.
And Ms. Lund, let me just jump into.
Yep.
If Carol Mitchell was not giving them to you or the people that she said she would, do you know where she was giving them or what she was doing with those items?
She was giving them away to other people or donating them.
I'd like to shift gears a little bit away from Carol Mitchell to Nicole Mitchell. Do you have an opinion as to Nicole Mitchell's character for greediness?
I believe Nicole is a very trustworthy, honest person. She's been a hardworking person all her life. She's created her own life. I mean, she's very professional, very accomplished. And what was the other part of your question?
I only asked for your opinion about her character for greed or desire for money.
I don't think that money is what drives her. I mean, she's had her choice in her career of the things she likes. She does, and she picks the things she likes to do. And I don't think money was a priority even when she decided to have a family. She left some pretty high profile positions and was secure enough financially to move back to Minnesota and raise her family here because that's where she wanted to be. Family was more important than money at that point.
And I want to be very careful with this. I don't want you to give any opinion as to anything related to the allegations in this case. So please do not offer any opinion about that, okay? That being said, do you have an opinion as to Nicole's character for being caring or caring about other people's well-being generally?
Yes, I believe she's a very caring person, and a lot of times you would see that through some of the work that she chose or her volunteer work that she chose. I think a lot of it was very children-oriented, and she did that kind of caring. And she cares for her family.
Based on that knowledge, and again with the caveat that I don't want you to talk about anything related to this case, what do you think Nicole's motives were regarding her dealings with Carol generally after Rod's death?
I'm going to object to speculation, Your Honor.
Approach.
Ms. Lund, I'd like to talk a little bit about your perception of Carol Mitchell and Nicole Mitchell's relationship. What was it like in your experience?
Sometimes it was rocky, I think, as any daughter and a mother, would be. But most of the time when I saw them together, there was always a hug and everything that went on. So I think they worked through their difficulties or differences. And I think it was a pretty normal mother-daughter type relationship.
And what about Nicole Mitchell's children, which would be Carol Mitchell's grandchildren? To your knowledge, did Carol Mitchell see those grandchildren frequently?
Yes.
Did it become less frequent after Nicole Mitchell adopted her second son?
Yes. Prior to adopting the second son, I think when the first son was there, when Nicole would come to the area, I guess, she would many times spend a night or two at Rod and Carol's house, and then she would probably come into town and spend a night at my house too. After the second boy came into play, who was, I believe, just a foster child at that point, I believe that Nicole was told that they weren't welcome to spend the nights at her father's house anymore. And so she came just as frequently, but spent nights at my house.
Despite these ups and downs and this changing relationship after her second son was adopted, do you still believe that Nicole had genuine concern for Carol Mitchell's well-being?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Nicole is a caretaker at heart. You know, that's the type of person she's going to be. You know, she has, and I think that, would you ask the question one more time, please?
Absolutely. You testified to some incidents of rocky relationship between Carol Mitchell and Nicole Mitchell. And I'm asking, despite that, it seems as though your testimony is that you still believe that Nicole Mitchell had Carol Mitchell's well-being in mind. I'm asking why you think that.
I think that because I believe that Nicole loved Carol and still does. And I also feel that she, being a caretaker, that her father, Rod Mitchell, would want her to make sure that Carol is well taken care of. And I think she felt an obligation, not only love, but an obligation to take care of a family member.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to the time period of 2023 and 2024. Overall, was that a difficult year or an easy year for the Mitchell family?
Very difficult.
Can you tell us about why that is, or what happened to make it so difficult?
We experienced a lot of loss that year, so it started with my brother Rod Mitchell in March of 2023. We lost a family member. My 39-year-old niece passed away in September of 23. And then in December of 23, my older sister, Julie Bradley, passed away. And within a couple days of that, my ex-husband passed away within a couple days there at the same time.
Can you explain a little more about how your ex-husband passed away?
He was elderly. He had been sick, and he lived by himself in a small condo in Moorhead. And our two children are in town there, and so they were probably his main people that were looking after him. And he must have had a fall, and one of my children had to, when their father wasn't responding to phone calls or texts anymore, they had to go and check on him, and they found that he had fallen, and I don't know if it was 1 or 2 days before they found him. And that was a very traumatic experience, to have to go to his house and open a door and walk in and not know, what condition they were going to find him in. Very traumatic for one of my children.
Did Nicole know about this?
Yes, I'm sure we talked about it over Christmas that year.
What effect did this death have on the family related to your concerns about Carol Mitchell?
She's elderly. She's living on her own. She wasn't returning texts or phone calls. And so those type of possibilities come to mind.
Now, when you think of Nicole Mitchell's personality and behavior, would you consider her more of a doer, someone who takes charge, or more of a passive person?
She would be a doer.
And how did that trait of being a doer affect Nicole's interactions with Carol Mitchell after Rod Mitchell's death?
One of the things we were concerned about would be the progression of the disease. If you're fairly, if it's early in the diagnosis and you've got time to do things or get things organized and things like that, that's the time to do them rather than waiting until the disease progresses. And I know one of the areas that Nicole researched and had some tough discussions, I think, with Carol on was, where do you want to be when the disease progresses so that you can't be on your own anymore? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in Detroit Lakes? Do you want to be down in the cities where Nicole Mitchell and Jonathan Keel were? Does she want to, what kind of environment does she want to be in? And so I know Nicole had some conversations with her, and I think Carol thought she was pushy, but I think those were the times to be having those conversations and figuring out where she wanted to be. She had cats too to be concerned about, and trying to figure out and make some of those choices ahead of time rather than have somebody else make them for her later.
Ms. Lund, I only have one more question for you, and it's a little bit specific, so bear with me. Are you aware of a medical bill that was missed, the payment of which was missed, and it was related to Rod Mitchell's medical care either right before his death or around the time of his death, that the estate later had to settle?
Yes.
How are you aware of that?
I was looking at the state of Minnesota public access website for court documents and things like that, and I just happened to be perusing through, looking at his probate file online, and I noticed that there was a fairly good-sized large medical bill that was never submitted, was never paid. It was not submitted on time or something, and so it was unpaid, and I believe the court didn't order that bill to be paid or something like that. It was an unpaid bill that went through probate and didn't meet the timeline for entry into the estate.
I have no further questions.
Mr. McDonald.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lund. I want to start by talking just a little bit about Carol Mitchell. You described a couple events with showing some forgetfulness or memory loss. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Would you agree that the Walmart event and the meeting with the attorney were in about April 2023?
Yes.
So less than 1 month after Roderick Mitchell's passing. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Would you agree that Carol Mitchell was likely still grieving at that time?
Yes.
Ms. Lund, would you agree that you told the defense investigator that Carol Mitchell is not very tech savvy?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Lund, there's no doubt you tried to help Carol Mitchell. Fair to say?
Yes.
And Alzheimer's is a very cruel disease.
Yes.
But you also understand that Carol Mitchell is not on trial here.
Yes.
You just spoke to us about this bill. What's your understanding of the probate process if the court doesn't allow a claim?
I don't know exactly how that whole probate process works.
Well, was that bill personal to Roderick Mitchell?
Yes, it was a medical bill of his.
Okay, and was your understanding that the facility or creditor didn't file that timely?
I can't say for sure. It was a long time ago. I haven't stored all that information.
But in any event, that bill may have been personal to Roderick Mitchell.
Yes.
Okay, so it would have been the estate's responsibility, not necessarily Carol Mitchell being put into collections.
It was Roderick's medical bill.
And you did confirm that you haven't texted Carol Mitchell since December 2023.
As far as I recall, yes.
Okay. So any concern about her not responding to text messages, you're talking about prior to December 2023?
Correct.
You testified that Nicole is, quote, a doer.
Yes.
Okay, so she gets something on her mind, she's going to complete the task.
She will normally do the task instead of wait for somebody else to do it, yes.
Okay. And you also described her as trustworthy and honest, correct?
Yes.
Meaning if someone asks her a question or she says a statement, we can believe it.
Normally, yes.
Ms. Lund, did Nicole Mitchell communicate with you on April 21st or April 22nd of 2024?
You'll have to refresh me on what those dates were, because I'm...
Let me ask you in a more pointed way. Did Nicole Mitchell tell you that she was going to break into Carol Mitchell's home?
No.
Did she ever reach out with any concerns or discussions in the 24 hours prior to her arrest?
No.
Now, you described Nicole Mitchell and Carol Mitchell's relationship on the stand here as, quote, sometimes rocky.
Yes.
Okay. But isn't it true you told the defense investigator that Nicole Mitchell and Carol Mitchell's relationship has, quote, never been stellar in the 40 years?
Right. Probably not ever stellar.
Okay. But those were your words?
Yes.
And Ms. Lund, isn't it also true that you told the defense attorney, the defense investigator, after you found out Nicole Mitchell was arrested, quote, Nicole, I don't understand what you did. I don't understand it.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. DeCray.
Just very, very briefly, I'm aware of the time, Your Honor. Ms. Lund, who was Carol Mitchell the executor of Rod Mitchell's estate?
Yes.
You testified earlier that Carol Mitchell got lost on her way to your house in November of 2023 for the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yes.
Was that 8 months after Rod Mitchell's death?
Yes.
Did you know that Carol Mitchell was also not responding to Nicole Mitchell with respect to text messages and calls?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McDonald.
When you testify that Carol Mitchell was not responding to Nicole Mitchell, what time frame are you speaking to, Ms. Lund?
I think during 2023, there were a lot of times when there were very slow responses, but I think, I don't know when she no longer responded at all. For periods of time, there were very slow responses. I don't know the dates that she didn't respond at all.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. DeCray?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Ms. Lund, you may step down. Again, watch your step. There's that
Thank
slight
you.
decline there.